So let's talk a little bit about what sets you apart from the men in the room or from other technologists in the room. This is a good time, if you don't have a pen and paper handy, to get a pen and paper handy, because we are going to do an exercise in just a couple of minutes. So the things that set you apart, believe it or not, are often the things that you get ostracized for. So I want you to take a second and think about some work-related things where, folks are always coming to you and asking you for advice. One of the things that I have found that is really important, that has helped me, is that our managers are tasked with trying to figure out what our natural gifts and abilities are, but they don't have time. There's so much that they're going to do and have to do. It's easier for us to tell them, right? We have spent our entire lives being us. They don't know who we are. They don't know why we're great. They don't know what makes us amazing. Don't second guess it. Everything can be a superpower. Depending upon the culture, the skills that you have, there are a ton of things that make you amazing. So I want you to think a little bit about your personal qualities, right? Your superpower isn't just a skill, it's a perspective, the way you think, how you approach situations, your scenarios. Think about it. It's like as unique as your thumbprint. We all have them, but no two people have the same one. And so while your managers are in meetings, because let's be honest, opportunities are talked about while we're not in the room. We need to make certain that those folks who are around the tables making the decisions about our futures are really tuned in, tapped in, and turned on to the things that make us magnificent. So let's take a couple of minutes and figure out what those things are. So again, right, I don't want this to just be one way, because this is going to be boring for the next 20 minutes or so. But like I said, your Agile superpower is the thing that makes you you. This is your specific realm of genius. So I want to give us a couple of minutes to think about the unique contribution that you bring to your Agile teams, the unique contributions that you bring to your projects. What do people come to you for? What do your friends ask you for? What are the unique gifts that you have, or the unique problems that you're trying to solve? And the sentence that you want to fill out, and a great way to be able to talk about yourself, is I am a blank that blanks. So I'll give you a little bit of mine. And I hope this doesn't steer you in the wrong direction, but I do want to help. And so when I think about the things that make me me, folks often say, Apriel, you're so positive, or you have such an optimistic outlook on life. When I think about Agile, and I think about the Agile teams that I've had the benefit of leading, I think about my ability to connect with people. I don't know everything. I don't pretend to know everything. I'm usually not the smartest person in the room, but I'm really good at asking questions. And so I think about myself and the power of inquiry. So if I were to fill this sentence in, I would say that I am a servant leader that inspires teams. Or I would say I am an Agile professional that's really good at getting the best out of my Scrum team. So let's take 2 to 3 minutes, and I'm going to give you guys some eye time. I'm going to put myself on mute, and I want you guys to go through, answer some of the questions, and then we'll come in and we'll share our value stories. And remember, you're trying to fill in that last piece that says, I am a blank that blanks. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to give you guys 2 minutes, and we'll come back and we'll share. And there are a couple of questions that I see in the chat. If you guys have any, feel free. I can read them at least now while we're not sharing. So if you have any, feel free to send them to me privately, or feel free to take yourself off mute, and we can use them for the benefit of the group. Okay, I think we've had enough time. Does anyone want to come off mute and talk about the value story that they've developed for themselves?
Okay, hi April. Let me give this a shot. What I find is that people usually come to me, when they have some ideas in their head and they want to, bring it out or expand on it. They want to expand on the ideas. They come to me and I'm able to help them, understand dissect their ideas a bit more and help them understand it better. So what I've captured is I'm an agile professional that helps people improve on their ideas when they are stuck. I don't know if that is a good one, but that's what I've been able to capture. Yeah.
That is perfect. Remember, your superpower is something that makes you you. And you think about what we do in Agile teams. How many times have you worked with a Scrum team that got stuck? They got stuck on trying to figure out story points. They couldn't really estimate. They argued about what stories to bring into the sprint. They argued about how the code review was going to be. There's tons of things that get teams stuck. And so the ability to be an obstacle thrasher, the ability to move teams from a point of being stuck is a huge superpower. So I think that's great. Who else? Hey.
I got off camera because I know how it is talking to an audience and no one has to come on. So I would say that I am a problem solver and I bring psychological safety to the team. So I'm often brought in to help Scrum Masters. I hear they stuck. They're not. There's always an issue with the Scrum Master, but I see the Scrum Master, they know what they're doing, but the thing is they're not connecting with the team. There's some sort of underlying conflict, and a lot of people would just bypass it, like they're gonna figure it out. We just need to get this stuff done. But that hinders, the performance of the team. And so I get in and help them figure out how to work in harmony, because once you start figuring out how to work together, you get a better outcome, you get a better a team that functions. So that would be my
superpower. I think that is good. And so when I think about, like I said, right, oftentimes the decisions about our next position are made when we are not in the room, right? You think about those leaders who the world is a crazy place right now, right? Folks are uncertain. People are uncertain about their jobs. We don't know whether or not we're going to be inside or outside, depending upon how coronavirus is going. And so the ability to be able to create teams that feel safe means that you have the ability to connect in a way with the folks that you're leading, the folks that you're guiding, so that they feel connected to the work. And when we feel connected to our work, we are able to deliver better outcomes. So that means that you are able to connect with your team in such a way that they are comfortable with saying no, The power of being able to coach folks up to say yes or no is a superpower like no other. Because think about like the gifting that you have to be able to work and to connect and to lead your team, to be able to say, no, unfortunately, we cannot deliver this, but here's what we can. No, unfortunately, we don't think that launching this code with this defect is right, but here's when we can give it to you. And so essentially that is a gift in and of itself. So good job. I think we have time for just one more. So is there anyone else who wants to come off mute and talk about what their value story is?
I'll give it a try. I think for me, what my value story is, I'm able to get a sense amongst the team if there is something that's hanging in the air, in terms of a team member not too sure if they're able to take it on, or whether it is something that is required from their side, and then I find that it's hanging and does not have an owner to actually run with, to ensure that that is closed off to meet, to take us to our end goal. So I find that I'm able to actually spot that, and I think that is my value story. And
I love it.
I try and not offend. I kind of like you have a bit of sensitivity to it when I approach it as well.
I love it. I love that. Because at the end of the day, let's be honest, when we think about all the things that we track in Agile, story points, velocity, no one cares about that, right? People care about results. People care about the completion of things. People care about delivery. And so you being able to say that, yes, I'm able to speak the language of Agile, I'm able to speak the language of Scrum, but at the end of the day, I also understand that my goal is about the completion, is about delivering results and being able to help guide and lead your team to the delivery of the thing that actually sends out a product that makes people purchase, that whatever, is what folks want to hear. So I'm excited. Has this been helpful? I see Jamila nodding. I can't see you other guys because you guys aren't on video, but I'm going to trust that.
Yes, it has. It has.
Okay.
Sorry,
Right.
I don't have a proper background. That's why.
It's okay. It's all right. It's fine. Don't even overthink it. It's fine. Your background is perfect, and so are you. So thank you so much for coming off mute, and thank you for mentioning that. All right. So I also wanted to talk about a couple of other things that I feel stops us when we look at trying to navigate between the Agile leadership lines. The first one is the lack of advocacy. Like I said, you keep hearing me talk a lot about being the only Black person, being the only female. Sometimes this journey can be isolating. And all the things that come up, like you should not be here, you don't be here, you will never make it, all the things that people tell us, all the things that our minds make us try to think that we're crazy. Isolation will be one of the things that grips you. And it is so important to get out and to get connected, particularly finding other women, like the women on this call, to build community, right? We are made to be in relation with each other. And so when you are starting to feel lonely and isolated, that is your sign that you are not in the right place and that you have to go out and seek out other people who are on the journey. Because the fact that we're on this call, we're not by ourselves, right? We're all here in it together. And sometimes it can feel like we're not. So find ways to get connected. Seek other women out on LinkedIn. One of the things that I'll tell you that has worked for me, that I will literally go and type in CSM and I'll look for other Black women and I'll just start to send them connection requests. Simply because I just want to get connected and I just can't be the only one. And I will just literally start messaging people just to say, hey, I'm connecting with other Black folks here who are other Scrum Masters, just because I want to build a connection. The other thing we'll talk about is that I've created a community called Agile, and Agile literally is about elevating and amplifying Black and Brown voices in Agile. I have the links at the end of the presentation. You can find us on LinkedIn. But again, that is an opportunity for you to get connected and so that you don't feel isolated. The other thing that I know has stopped me is simply just being afraid of a lot of things, being afraid to fail, being afraid to be in leadership and actually have responsibility, being guilty about having to leave an organization in the midst of a project that I started and not finished, leaving teams or leaving relationships with people, at work who we commiserated together. And now I've gotten promoted, or now I've been elevated to another opportunity. Now it's time for me to transition, and I feel guilty about leaving them behind. Or sometimes I felt afraid of just change, because sometimes we get comfortable, right? We get in a situation, we start to work with a team, and it feels like that little sweater that has a hole in it. You probably wouldn't wear it outside, but you wear it around the house because it feels good. It makes you feel good. You need a new one. You would like another one or a different color, but the idea of change just makes you afraid. Here's the deal though. There's no magic bullet for success. And wherever you start is not going to be where you finish. Think about where you've come so far, right? Think about all the times that you made a decision to say, you know what? I don't like it here. I'm going to do something different. So don't be crippled by the fear. Make a decision to do something different. And then the last one is this whole idea of imposter syndrome. Does anybody else struggle with this? I know I do. I see Jamila nodding. And so
yeah, I do.
Yes, right? This whole idea of I'm not good enough. Or the word that I know when imposter syndrome is coming up is when I say should. Should is one of the ugliest words that we have because it's riddled in guilt and judgment, right? So this little voice that tells us don't apply for that role, don't go after that next certification. You're not going to make it. Your application is going to be rejected. So here's a couple of helpful hints that I have found really worked for me. So the first one, I literally will grab a piece of paper and I will put true versus not true. And all of the things that are going through my mind, I will put them down on a piece of paper, and I'll literally put the things that are true on one side and the things that are false. And so it gives me space to get the crazy out of my mind and to put it somewhere. Then for the things that I think that are true, those could be potential blockers, right? So let's say you're a Scrum Master, and you wanted to, you're a junior Scrum Master and you wanted to apply for a senior Scrum Master role, or you wanted to apply for a bigger role at a bigger organization, right? Where you were leading multiple Scrum teams, the dollar amount of the products that you were actually going to be delivering was significantly higher, and your imposter syndrome, I call them my gremlin. My gremlin is telling me that I can't do it. I would write down all of the things that my gremlin would tell me. And one of them might be, you haven't managed a budget of this size. Pick one. So let's pick that one. Let's say we wrote it and we picked that one. So I didn't manage a budget of a significant size. What could you do about it? The goal is not for us to stay stuck in the fear. The goal of the imposter is for us to tell us about the things that are blocking our brilliance, the things that are blocking our progress, the things that are blocking our success, and to be able to figure out what tools do we have in our hands to be able to do something about the things that are stopping us from going forward. So before we go on to the next slide, do you guys have any questions about how to build community, about getting over your fears, or even how to navigate imposter syndrome?
Okay, I think my question may be around the lack of advocacy. So you spoke about connections, but how do you solve for advocacy within your organization? Have you been able to do that? Get senior people to, speak for you when you're not in the room. How do you navigate that aspect?
Yeah. So, and it's hard, right? You know, and I know there's some different challenges between being an Agilist in the US and being an Agilist in Africa. Um, One of the things that has been really helpful for me, people talk about this whole idea of mentorship, but mentorship is not the thing. You need an advocate. You need for somebody to talk up and to say, Jamila is the person that we should be talking about for this role, and here's why. A mentor is someone who typically doesn't sit in those rooms, right? So how do you find an advocate? That's how I heard your question. You got to pay attention. You got to pay attention to who's in the rooms and who's really committed to making a difference and bringing folks up. Typically, the way that I find those people is that I sit in meetings or I listen to what people say and I listen to how they talk about the people in the organization. There's a real difference between how folks who are advocates, who really want to reach behind and pull folks up, how they talk versus people who just give lip service, right? You'll typically hear them say things like, even in like, how do you say, all hands meetings or town halls or big meetings like that, you'll hear them talk about challenges. You'll hear them talk about opportunities. You'll hear them talk about problems they want to solve. You'll begin to start to ask questions about how they are thinking about approaching challenges, how they are thinking about hiring talent, how they're thinking about promoting. And so you want to look for the folks who are focused on finding talent in the organization. You want to look for folks who are proactively seeking out opportunities to have one-on-ones or to do skip level meetings, you know, so start to ask some questions about your leadership so you can start to understand where their heart is and what kind of people they are. And then once you start to kind of get like a running list and you start to understand how people think, then start to reach out to them and ask them for like lean coffee or agile coffee, 30 minutes to learn about their journey. People want to talk about themselves. They want to talk about what they've been through. They want to talk about the success they've achieved. They want to talk about how they've gotten to where they've gotten. And so in those conversations, that's an opportunity for you to do a lot of listening, but you equipped with your value story and knowing your Agile superpowers, as they're talking about the problems in the organization, you can say, you know what? I haven't done that exact thing, but on the Agile team that I'm leading for the product that you are delivering or that you're responsible for, one of the things that we are doing on this team is creating a high amount of psychological safety. Our teams, I look across all the Agile teams and I know that my team is the only team that is comfortable with saying no. And as such, we're able to send less defects into production. We have fewer code reversals. Usually when we're pushing code to production, we're pushing and it's right the first time. And so those might be some things that you might want to think about as you're thinking about solving this problem, right? And so that's the way that you can start to get around that advocacy. Did that help?
Yeah, it's really helpful. You know, as you spoke, I remembered someone who was like an advocate for me where I was. He's left now, but the way you described it, it just hit home. Thanks. Bye.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions?
Just a thought on my side with regards to this imposter syndrome. Do you think part of it also stems from others, not so much opinions, but their way of just communicating, and when you take that on to deliver what you ought to deliver, you sort of like get attached to it and unaware, and then when you need to take on the next task, that is sort of like hovering over your head.
100% I do. You know, it's funny, right? Someone can give us a compliment and we're like, yeah, okay, thanks. And it means nothing. And someone can tell us something negative and it will shatter our day. And we hang on to it. Like, I'm hanging on to this thing. We hang on and then we carry it around with us, you know, like luggage through the airport. And it becomes hard, right, to leave your luggage. That's what I feel like the imposter syndrome does. And so the reason why I say separating fact from fiction, this whole exercise of writing down all of the things that are going on in your mind, all the things that people say, all the worries that you have, gives you an opportunity to really sit down and think about, is that really true about me? Is what they said accurate? Is what they said realistic? Is what they said representative? Do I think that about me? Or are they just saying that because it's easier for them to tell me negative things so that it blocks my brilliance and I don't shine in the magnificence, that I should? So yeah, we 100% do get weighed down by the things that we say, by others say. But the important thing is for us to remember to properly put things in the right place. And so exercises like this, or thinking about one of the other ones that's really good is about the 2% truth. And so if Jamila, I'm gonna pick on you because I can see you. So if I were to say, Jamila doesn't know really how to properly estimate. And her team's estimates are always wrong. And so, and I said that to Jamila. And that weighed on Jamila, right? Because it made her feel less than. It made her feel like she wasn't knowledgeable. It would make her feel like she wasn't, a good and competent leader. Jamila in her private time could say, 98% of this, is probably wrong. But is there a 2% truth in here? Is there one piece or two pieces of that feedback that could be true? And if it is, what would I do about it? So Jamila might say, no, all my estimates aren't wrong. But there have been a couple of times where my estimates were flagrantly wrong. Let me think about what happened during those times, and let me think about what I could do about it, right? So I offer that to you as well. In addition to the separating the fact from fiction, is to think about the 2% truth. At the end of the day, where I'm trying to get us to pivot our minds to is to not stay stuck in the comment and to push forward to action, to think about what are we gonna do about it? Because people are gonna think what they're gonna think, right? We don't have any control over that. People are gonna say what they wanna say. It may be true, it may not be true. We don't have any control over that. But what you do have control over is how you internalize it and ultimately how you choose to respond to it.
So I love that 2% analogy that you've just spoken about. I love that. Makes sense.
Thank you. I'm glad it was helpful. Okay, so we're rounding the bend on our presentation, and I know we've got about 10 minutes or so left, and I want to give you a couple of minutes to go refresh your coffee or tea and potentially get a snack before the next session. So a couple of things to remember. It is so important to find community. You guys, this Agile journey and being a Black woman or being a Black technologist on this journey, you are gonna cry. It's gonna be hard. And then some days you're gonna be like, yes, I killed it. Like, I want a place to celebrate. You wanna find community so you can do all of those things. And if you don't have community, connect with me on LinkedIn. I will celebrate virtually with you, or we can get on a Zoom and I'd be more than happy to cry, celebrate, let you hoot and holler as much as you want. Remember that it's important to understand the organizational currency. What are the things that your organization values? And they are different in every place you go. Some organizations are high likability, right? So you'll find that people get promoted because they're nice or because everyone likes them. Or they'll say, we really like Carol. She is X. They will usually lead with that word. Or there are some cultures that are really big on relationship building. The conversation that we were having about advocacy becomes more about who knows you. And so having things like Lean Coffee, scheduling 15 minutes to just learn about people, setting up virtual happy hours, help to build your organizational currency. Some organizations are really focused on results. They don't care about who likes you. What do you deliver and how are you delivering? That's what gets you promoted. And in others, it's all about the process in which you do things, right? Yeah, Apriel might be able to deliver, but people hate her, and so as such, we don't like the process in which she leads. So you want to be focused on understanding your organizational currency and the things that matter in terms of helping you transition from one role to another. The last thing that I'm going to talk to you about is self-care. As women, one of the things that we always typically do is we always place ourselves last on our to-do list, especially now during the time of COVID, right? You know, we're moms, we're wives, you know, we're caretakers, we're aunts, we're sisters. And so many people come to us and we leave ourselves for last. So I'm going to ask you, I'm going to implore you to make certain that you put yourself on the top of your to-do list, because here's something that none of us ever talk about. If we are not okay, then everyone else cannot be okay. And so that might mean once a week scheduling yourself for a bath, or taking a walk every day for 15 to 30 minutes, or just being outside, you know, to have a cup of tea and do some yoga. Whatever that self-care thing is for you, make certain that you're committed to it. Remember, it all begins and ends with you. I've been using this language about make a decision. Amazing things happen once you decide, right? It's like the heavens open, the clouds part, and suddenly a way is made forward. When you decide, when you get deliberate, when you get intentional about where you want to be, what you want to do, who you want to be, how you want to be that person, a way is made for you. There's an old adage that says, once the student is ready, the teacher appears, because you decide to be ready. And so remember, how you start is not going to be how you finished, right? I started my career years ago, not knowing what I wanted to do, not knowing who I wanted to be, not knowing where I wanted to go. All I knew is that I didn't want to be broke, and I knew I wanted to travel. That was it. That was all I knew. And suddenly a way was made for me. And so I've been taking a step where a step was made clear ever since. That's all you need to know. You don't have to get it right, and it doesn't have to be perfect. It's gonna be messy. It's gonna be ugly. Life is a big horror comedy drama story. Work is too. It's okay. It doesn't have to be amazing and perfect. You're gonna fall and you're gonna stumble, and give yourself the grace to make some mistakes. And then the last thing that I'm gonna say to you is that you get paid for performance and promoted for possibility. And so remember the part I said to you about the decisions about your career are typically made when you are not in the room. And you need to help folks inspire the possibility of who you are and what you can be. And the way you do that is always through the articulation of your value as it relates to the things that are important to your organization. Ladies, hear me when I tell you, if there's nobody in your corner, if there's no one who's told you today, if there's no one who's told you this week, if there's no one who's told you this year, if there is no one who's told you this month, I am telling you that you are amazing. You are dope. You are fabulous. You are the bomb.com. Sis, you can be anything you want to be. You can be the agilist you want to be. You already are her. You already are her. Be willing to put in the work. Be willing to stand up for yourself. Be willing to use your voice. And remember, ask for help when you need it. There is a whole community that is out here that is literally cheering all of you on, and that is waiting to dig in, to dive in, and to help you out whenever you need it. So I think we've got a couple of minutes for questions. If you want to send an email, here's my email. You can reach out to hello@Blagile. I want you to join the community and follow us. So click this link or just do a Blagile search for us on LinkedIn. And I also would love to connect with you on LinkedIn. And so I've put my information here. So please feel free to connect with me. And if you have any questions, I'm more than happy to take them now.
No question, but just a comment, I think this is the second time I heard you speak. I was looking at LinkedIn, I was like, I think I know, but we are LinkedIn friends, and I am part of Blagile, but it was great. It was a pleasure. Thank you for the great sentiments of, for today. So we appreciate it.
Thank you. And thank you for that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the generosity of your time. Apologize for the technicality. We had a Zoom hack While some people are busy trying to do good, some people are trying to do nasty. But I want to thank you personally for giving up your time and to share your technical expertise with us. It means everything. Thank you so much. And I'm glad you were able to impact lives. We're streaming right now on all our channels, and we're very glad that you came and shared with us. Thank you so much, Apriel. And I'm so glad. I hope your little one continues to cling on you right now after the session.
Now it's
Thank
okay.
you.
Earlier this morning it was hard, but
I know. Thank you so much. We appreciate you for taking the journey with us. It's our first experience, and I would say personally, I'm burned out, but it's been a great learning experience. Thank you so much, Apriel.
You guys have done an amazing job, and just the feedback that I'm hearing from other women who have participated in the conference, you know, the feedback has just been wonderful. I know you guys don't always get the benefit of hearing it, and everyone typically complains about all the things that didn't go well or all the emails that didn't get right, you know, but at the end of the day, this is your contribution to the community, and we are so grateful for you. We are so grateful for your service. We are so grateful for your heart. And we are so grateful for all of your hard work that helps us to get together and other women like me to come out and be able to speak out in the community about our experiences to help other women. So it's so needed. And I just want to say thank you, because your talents and your gifts and your hard work and your effort is not lost. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. On that note, I don't want to cry, but thank you so much. Honestly, I think women need to compliment each other more, because we're very good at pulling each other down. We do not celebrate one another, but it's just unfortunate. But thank you so much. Thank you so much, Apriel. You are highly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
And
if we can
have a
stop the
good
live
day.
streaming, can we just, you and I connect really quickly after, because I wanted to just chat with you.
Okay, stopped. Live streaming.
So let's talk a little bit about what sets you apart from the men in the room or from other technologists in the room. This is a good time, if you don't have a pen and paper handy, to get a pen and paper handy, because we are going to do an exercise in just a couple of minutes. So the things that set you apart, believe it or not, are often the things that you get ostracized for. So I want you to take a second and think about some work-related things where, you know, folks are always coming to you and asking you for advice. One of the things that I have found that is really important, that has helped me, is that our managers are tasked with trying to figure out what our natural gifts and abilities are, but they don't have time. There's so much that they're going to do and have to do. It's easier for us to tell them, right? We have spent our entire lives being us. They don't know who we are. They don't know why we're great. They don't know what makes us unique.